You're listening to 91.7 FM, WSUW, in Whitewater, Wisconsin. You're listening to Rashkin Report. You're listening to WSUW 91.7 FM, The Edge in Whitewater, Wisconsin. You're listening to Rashkin Report, and this is your host, Yuri Rashkin. We have back with us Slava Rabinovich, one of the most well-read and known independent bloggers or Facebookers, perhaps, in Russia today. Slava was just recently banned from Facebook, and this is, I'm sure it's not the first time, but I'm excited to have Slava on the phone with us from Russia and to share his experience. So, Slava, welcome to the program. Tell us what happened.
Thank you, Yuri. Nice to be back on your program. Very recently, on the 29th of June of this year, I was once again blocked on Facebook, and there are two accounts that I have. One is my personal page, another one is my page as a public figure, and they were both blocked by Facebook with the reference to an alleged violation which I committed in terms of Facebook rules. In regards to a post which I published in May of 2015. So we are talking about Facebook Moderation Center all of a sudden blocking my access to most of the features on my Facebook account for a post which I wrote and published over a year ago. Incidentally, on the same very date, on the 29th of June, there were scores of other opposition leaders, publicists, journalists, politicians, whose accounts were blocked by Facebook administration for alleged violations of Facebook rules, which they allegedly committed many months or even years ago. For example, a very well-known publicist, writer, and journalist, Viktor Shenderovich, was banned for 1 week for a post which he posted 2 years ago. And another very well-known journalist from a radio station, Echo Moskvy, whose name is Ksenia Larina, was banned for a post which she wrote 4 years ago. And for those listeners of yours who do not understand the mechanism of how it is done and what it means, I can quickly explain how this is accomplished by the Kremlin. The Kremlin set up a so-called troll factory, which is a number of internet-related companies which operate mostly out of St. Petersburg, Russia. They create hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of fake accounts. And these operators of these fake accounts, they attack various users of Facebook by sending scores of complaints to Facebook technical support, claiming violations of Facebook community rules as to the contents of these particular posts. These trolls, these fake accounts, they will attack one particular post of a user. They are not attacking multiple posts. They just select randomly a particular post, one for all, without any regard to the contents. It is just a matter of computer program then for Facebook to pay attention to multiple complaints. So if, for example, there is a post which has zero political color, which has nothing to do with politics or anything of that sort, which does not violate any type of Facebook community rules, they just select one particular post and then send hundreds or even thousands of complaints. Then it triggers a Facebook robot to block an account. And if the violation is committed, or alleged violation, quote unquote, violation is committed for the first time, then there is a blocking of an account for 1 day. Second time, the account is blocked for 3 days. Third time, it is blocked for 1 week. And then onwards, it is blocked for 30 days at a time. So, for example, on the 29th of June of this year, I was banned for another 30 days. And it was the 7th time for the period since August of 2014, since the time when this problem first started.
Slava, this sounds
somebody like from. Yep.
I was going to say this sounds like a coordinated attack at a time that was basically predetermined. If all of a sudden several people find themselves off Facebook pretty much at the same time, do you have any idea what could have triggered this attack?
Sure. I think there are two reasons that could have triggered that attack at that particular time. First of all, we are approaching August, which is the traditional month in Russia for any type of sudden political activities or some events that historically are viewed as somewhat as outliers, as some extraordinary events. This was the month of a coup against Mikhail Gorbachev in 1991. This was the month of multiple financial crises triggered by the Russian authorities back in 1998. For example, this was also the month of escalation of Russian military offensive against Ukraine in August of 2014. This could be the month of the same this year. And the second reason is that in their wish to rig the upcoming parliamentary elections, the Russian authorities moved the parliamentary elections from the normal date in December of 2016 over to the 18th of September, which brings everybody much closer to the end of the vacation season. So there is no chance for the Russian opposition to conduct normal political campaign to be elected into the Russian parliament. And it also will cause a very low turnout for the elections, which from which obviously the ruling parties will win because of very low turnout. So in anticipation of this, the Kremlin-sponsored trolls may be trying to suppress outspoken critics of the Russian administration because we are too close to the elections, and in the situation when Russian opposition is completely denied access to any type of media. And when I'm saying any type of media, that means that all independent media has been destroyed by Putin over the last 16 years. And all the media that we have is just state-sponsored, state-owned, and state-managed media, to which none of the opposition leaders have any type of access, including, of course, the deputies, the candidates to become deputies in the parliament from the opposition parties. So they are denied access to any type of coverage, and the only chance that they have is to be covered somehow by popular bloggers who have a very wide following in Facebook and other social media, by way of reposting, reprinting, and so on and so forth. So they were trying to get rid of a full dozen or more of people like myself in order for us not to be able to reprint or repost anything from the candidates for the upcoming elections. Those candidates that some such people as myself could be supporting from among the opposition parties.
All right, Slava, let me ask you this. So you're saying right now there's a few dozen people that have been banned from Facebook in Russia that appear to be targets of an attack that's been put together somewhere. First of all, well, you're saying St. Petersburg, but from Kremlin. How many people do you feel this affects as far as you're saying few dozen writers? How many people are reading your blog and do you have any idea on the total numbers? Because you still have to remember that Russia is a country of, I think, still 140 million people roughly. So what kind of an impact and what is the danger of having a Facebook page?
Some people who are specialists in social media have been telling me that I have to use the multiplier of 10 in order to figure out who is reading me on a roughly regular basis. I have 5,000 so-called friends and 105,000 so-called followers for the total number of 110 in Facebook alone. And we can multiply this by 10, which means over 1 million people. And the reason is that many people, they just don't subscribe to my page in an open fashion. They don't want to be seen by either authorities or their HR departments of state companies where they might be working, that they are subscribers to my page. And at the same time, they would be reading me on a regular basis. That's the estimate that I've been given by those people who understand this kind of stuff. It is obviously still a very small number of 1 million people in relation to 140 plus million people living in Russia, but it really doesn't matter, because what matters is this active minority, so to speak, who is determining the course of a country at some historical forks, such as, for example, 1 million people that showed up in the center of Kiev for the so-called Euromaidan revolution, which overthrew Yanukovych, the then president of Ukraine. Also, 1 million people showed up in the streets of Moscow back in 1991 with the revolution which destroyed the Soviet Union. So we are talking about the most important 1 million people.
All right. You're listening to WSUW 91.7 FM, The Edge in Whitewater, Wisconsin. This is Rashkin Report, and I'm your host, Yuri Rashkin. We have back on our program with Slava Rabinovich, one of the most read Facebooker, bloggers, pretty much opinion makers in Russia today. Slava was banned from Facebook for 30 days once again as a result of a coordinated attack, as we've discussed earlier in the program. And that reminds me that you should make sure to follow Rashkin Report both on Facebook and subscribe to it on YouTube, as well as listen to it on 91.7 FM. Slava, my next question for you is, what do you want Facebook to do about this? Because on some level, it seems to be the process maybe is automated. On the other hand, is this a situation that could present potential danger for anybody, anywhere, where you could have a coordinated army of private or even free volunteer trolls attacking people? And, could this shut down, social media democracy?
Well, first of all, Yuri, I can mention to you and to your listeners that this problem has been already widely covered in the English mainstream media. In June of 2015, when I was blocked by Facebook for my 5th time, for 30 days. An American journalist, Adrian Chen, completed and published his investigative article, which was called The Agency. It was published in the New York Times Magazine. And if you go to a search engine such as Google and just type in the New York Times Magazine, The Agency, Adrian Chen, Chen, you will see a huge article still on the website of the New York Times Magazine, which is talking about a Russian cyber terrorism, which is sponsored by the Kremlin, or which is aimed against such people as myself, as well as Americans, and how it is done on the American soil. This would be a very interesting article, and an interesting fact is that it was published simultaneously in English and in Russian. It starts with a sentence or with a summary at the very top of the page. From a nondescript office building in St. Petersburg, Russia, an army of well-paid trolls has tried to wreak havoc all around the internet and in real-life American communities.
Slava, the one thing that just does jump out at me, though, is that, okay, I was banned for a few days once because I was saying something not so nice things about the governor. In my opinion, they were perfectly harmless, but somehow they managed to trigger a Facebook response. But you are in a kind of a different category as far as number of people that you reach. And I just don't see, maybe I'm not paying attention, but I don't see major, actually there was just somebody who was banned from Twitter permanently. So again, what should social media giants do about this? Should they pay closer attention?
Well, you raise a very interesting question, because to that date, I and many others do not know exactly whether Facebook is a victim of this operation or rather a conspirator. And the reason is very simple. Back in, I believe, sometime in 2015, around autumn, there was a huge petition on the site change.org, which was called Stop Political Blocking on Facebook. It received tens of thousands of signatures, and Facebook had to answer to this petition. And the answer was Facebook's answer in Russian and Ukrainian was published back then. I believe it was over a year ago. It was in June 2015, exactly at the time of my June 2015, the fifth ban. At that time, I can say that maybe 24 of people like myself were banned, or even 36 of those people. And some of the lawyers, including US-based lawyers, who volunteered to try to investigate this, they unofficially contacted the legal department of Facebook, and they were told that they don't know how to deal with this because Facebook is not a content company. They regard themselves as a technology company. And so they just did not know how to deal with this. It obviously raised even further questions, because if there is a robot reacting to hundreds of thousands of simultaneous fake complaints to the technical support, they should know as a technological company how to override a robot, or at least to classify some accounts of such people as myself as accounts being targeted, as accounts with a great number of subscribers and followers. We also know that there is a moderation center in Dublin, Ireland. I mean, the Russian language moderation center in Dublin, where these moderators can override or at least review these complaints and make a decision. And so if they see that there is no violation of Facebook rules in the text whatsoever, they can obviously override a ban which was triggered by a robot. So I don't believe Facebook's unofficial answer that they're a technological company and therefore they don't know how to deal with this. So my next question is the following: is Facebook cooperating with the Kremlin on this? For example, just imagine the following scenario: the Kremlin administration is secretly passing the list of those users that they want to be banned on Facebook, and Facebook would in return say, oh, we cannot do it because we will be sued in California and in New York, in California where they're headquartered, and in New York where the shares are traded. We cannot act on your wishes to ban specific people and to suppress the freedom of speech. And the Kremlin would then say, then you have to choose whether you would like to continue operating in Russia altogether, or in case of your non-cooperation, we will shut down Facebook in the Russian internet space. There will be no Facebook. And you will not receive all those revenues that you derive from your operations in Russia or in the Russian space. Facebook would again argue that they legally cannot do that. And the next argument from the Kremlin would be the following: oh, no problems, we will supply you with a legal basis to do that. We will supply you with how many you need, tens or hundreds of thousands complaints from other users, complaints about specific posts of these people. And you can use these complaints as your legal basis for blocking these accounts. So I don't want to, at the moment, state that these theories are either conspiracy theories or the reality, which how I understand it. But this could be the case. And so my way of currently dealing with this is a further investigation on the legal front, as well as the front of various U.S.-based rights organizations, such as I don't want to disclose my contacts at the moment, but various very strong civil rights organizations are interested right now in this case. And without getting into a war with Facebook, they want a peaceful solution to this, where they are trying to set up a conference call uniting representatives and legal departments of these organizations, myself, some of my volunteer advisors from law firms in the U.S., and a legal department and a vice president of public policy at Facebook. So I'm still waiting for this conference call to take place, and I can report back to you if and when it takes place. But for now, I can only say that this process is moving in a very, very slow pace, at a very slow pace, and it has to be somehow resolved on a systemic basis, because we cannot deal with these blocks into infinity with this number of people. We're talking about dozens of people. So I cannot, for example, find a way to unblock myself and make sure that I'm not being blocked without resolving this in the same manner for everybody else that I know are being blocked for nothing.
Slava, and I think that hopefully Facebook may even pay attention to the fact that it's not just the dozens of you and the other writers and bloggers that are being cut off, but it's much bigger numbers of those reading you and others that receive inferior products from Facebook, frankly, because you are not there. Let's see. So, Slava, the last question that I wanted to ask you is, how are you communicating now? And in general, are you concerned for your, safety more than Facebook?
Well, the answer to the first question is that I have two other accounts in social media. One is in the Russian social network called VKontakte, which was initially set up by Pavel Durov, a famous Russian programmer and social media pioneer, so the so-called Russian Zuckerberg, who was then kicked out of his own company, and this company has been taken over by Kremlin-related and Kremlin-connected shareholders, and now it is being controlled probably by the FSB, which is a successor to the KGB. Nevertheless, I have an account there, and I publish all of my posts there. I also open an account on Twitter, and I publish copies of all of my posts on Twitter. For those posts that have a longer text than a short format of Twitter, I use an application which works with Twitter, which is called Tweet Longer. It just shows up on Twitter as a heading of a longer post, and then you have to click on the link which is called read column, and then it shows you the link and it gets you onto the tweet longer application where you can read the post. Once I was blocked for the third or fourth time, I figured that I have to duplicate my posts in order to decrease the value of my blocking on Facebook, so that this troll factory people will know that if they block me on Facebook, it will most of my posts will still be available on the other social media networks. And so I started duplicating and multiplying each of my posts automatically on other social media, even when at a time when I'm not blocked on Facebook. So it always goes to Twitter. It always goes to this network contacts simultaneously after I publish it on Facebook. Now that I'm blocked from Facebook, it is only two other social media sites. However, I archive everything that I write during my ban, and once I'm unblocked, I will publish all of my unpublished previously on Facebook posts on Facebook with the hashtag. The hashtag will read in Russian everything that I wrote during my ban, which will be dated. Each post will be dated. So in the course of the first week after I am unblocked, I will be giving some portions of various posts that I have been writing and have been publishing elsewhere, so that people can catch up with everything that I wrote. And if some people did not read it on Twitter and elsewhere, they will catch up with that on Facebook after I'm unblocked. As to my personal safety, it is in no way better or worse as an issue compared to July of 2015 or to July of 2014 in this respect. So I appreciate your question and probably concern to this regard, but in my case, it is probably too late for me to start worrying about it to a much different extent than I have been doing for a good 2 years now, because there is not much of a change in terms of the risks involved. We all have certain risks, that's true, but I think that they're just about the same as a year ago.
All right. Slava Rabinovich, thank you so much for returning to the program and sharing your story and story of many others that are being blocked from Facebook currently through a coordinated attack. And hope that the situation resolves quickly, and all the best to you.
Thank you very much, Yuri, and all the best to your listeners.
You're listening to 91.7 FM, WSUW, in Whitewater, Wisconsin. You're listening to Rashkin Report.